Hi, everyone. I think we're ready to get started. My name is Caitlin Edwards, and I'm the Community Events Manager at Linux Professional Institute. Thank you for joining us today for our Ask Me Anything webinar, the LPI Membership Edition. For those of you new to Linux Professional Institute, our mission is to promote the use of open source by supporting the people who work within it. LPI is the global certification standard and career support organization for open source professionals. With more than 200,000 certification holders, we are the world's first and largest vendor-neutral Linux and open source certification body. We have certified professionals in over 180 countries, deliver exams in multiple languages, and have hundreds of training partners. We have gathered your questions over the past few weeks and created a presentation that will give you a quick overview of the why, how, who, what, when, and where of LPI membership, including a live demo and walking you through the PDU submission process. During the webinar, we are encouraging questions, so feel free to submit any of your questions using the Q&A or the chat box at the bottom of your screen. Submitting questions publicly or privately. I will keep track and will facilitate throughout the webinar. This webinar will be recorded, and the recording and slides will be sent out later to everyone this week. Today's webinar will be led by Kenny Armstrong, Training Advisor here at LPI. Kenny has been involved in Unix and Unix-like operating systems for 2 decades now, starting with his usage of a modified Sun Solaris platform when he was in the military. Since then, Kenny has worked with Linux in a variety of environments, from internet service providers to government institutions, private companies, and large university installations. Kenny has been a proponent of open source software ever since he first learned of its existence. Kenny, I will pass the mic to you. Please take it away.
All right, thank you, Caitlin. Hello, everybody. Today with us also joining with our webinar is Matt Rice, who's the Executive Director at LPI, and he can help answer some of our questions as we go along here. So this is the membership PDU workshop where we're going to do a quick introduction or a brief overview of what the membership program is. And then we're going to get into the actual core of this where we discuss PDUs in depth, and we're actually going to go through and do a submittal for a PDU. So topics covered today, like I said, will be the brief introduction to the membership program. We're going to quickly describe how you can become a member. And then we're going to get into the basics of what a PDU is, how and where you submit those PDUs, and then we can close off with some open Q&A if anybody has any extra questions. So to get started, let's take a look at a quick introduction to the membership program. The reason why we now have a membership program is the governance of the Linux Professional Institute has changed. So now we have a definition of a member as far as an individual who can help vote for members of the board of directors, as well as run for a position for a board of directors themselves. It follows the original intent of what LPI had set out to do, but now we're finally getting to that point where the change has occurred and it's moving forward within that direction. And as we see here, it fits the mission itself of Linux Professional Institute, which was formed in 1999 as a nonprofit community of open source users, advocates, and educators. Our mission is to promote use of open source by supporting the people who work with it. And in this process, we actually offer the ability for those of you to become leaders within this organization to help propel our promotion and the usage of open source. In order to meet those goals, we needed a membership program to support this infrastructure for how we were going to bring more people into the fold. So those that can become members are those that have a professional level certification. That includes the LPIC 1 or the LPIC 2, any of the LPIC 3s. Again, you have to be LPIC 2 or LPIC 1 in order to have your LPIC 3, a BSD specialist, or DevOps tools engineer. Notice that we do not have any of the essentials certificates on here, such as Linux Essentials. The reason being is because those are more of an entry-level certificate. It's not a professional level certification. So you need to have at least an LPIC 1 and above, or the BSD specialist or the DevOps tools engineer certification in order to become a member. If you have an inactive certification, and I'll discuss what that is in just a moment, those could be reactivated for the purpose of joining LPI as a member. But you need to demonstrate currently skills that you are currently using within your everyday life or with your job or things of that nature. Now, an inactive certification is simply this. It's a professional level certification that you possess where if 5 years had passed and you didn't re-up the same certificate, or you went for the next level, say from LPIC 1 to LPIC 2, then that certification becomes inactive. It's not expired like what you would see with the Red Hat RHCE program, where if you don't get the next level RHCE after it used to be like 2 versions on, then your certification expired and you'd have to start back over again. That doesn't work that way for us here at LPI. Here, we recognize that Linux changes, but it doesn't change at a super duper breakneck speed. So you're going to have some skills that are left over. So your certification becomes inactive as opposed to just being expired. We force you to start everything all over again. So how do you become a member? Again, for active certification holders, and these are people who have received an LPIC certification 1, 2, or 3, or one of the others, such as BSD or DevOps, within the last 5 years, so your certification is still active, you agree to the membership terms, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment, including the code of conduct, which applies to the Linux Professional Institute as a whole. We also have dues that are paid. They are annual and they're prorated on the United Nations high density. I can't remember what that last acronym stands for, but it's based on the United Nations calculations for what is considered a pay rate, so to speak, for a region or a nation. For inactive certification holders, now this is for those that have gone longer than 5 years without re-upping their certification, either by going to the next level or retaking their current level. You need to satisfy the same requirements above, such as membership terms, the code of conduct, but you also have to go ahead and submit active PDUs or PDU claims to the system in order to get your inactive certification brought back up so you can become a member. And we'll go into that in just a little bit. Note that all certifications will be extended to the end of the membership term, but not the retired certifications like LPIC 3 Core. And basically what that means is once you become a member, say if you joined this month in February, but your LPIC 1 is going to run out in November. Well, not run out, but that's when it becomes inactive. And you sign up for a 3-year membership term. So what that gets you is you're a member for 3 years, but along with that, your certification will not become inactive in November. It'll become inactive 3 years from the date that you signed up. Or again, if you keep submitting PDUs in the interim, then and you re-up your membership, then that extends the date for your certification. More details about the full program are available at lpi.org/member, and you can find out more eligibility details at /member/program. In order to become a member, part of the process is you go and you sign in with your LPI ID. If you don't have an LPI ID yet, then you'll need to get one first, but you'll also need to have that in order for you to take a certification exam anyway. So you should already have possession of that if you're already certified. So when you first log into the People portal, and if you don't have a membership yet, when you go to the main dashboard, you should see an option here for a sign up for the membership. It shows you the dues for a 1-year membership, a 3-year membership. And again, these are based on the country where you live, and along with the membership agreement that we suggest that you make sure that you read and agree to. And then you pick out which membership term you wish to go with. And of course, you pay your dues. And then after you request membership, that goes through a review process where we take a look to verify that, yes, you do have a certification. We check the status of that certification. And once we verify everything, then we will approve the we will approve the request and you'll get an email notification. If for some reason that request is rejected, you'll still get an email explaining the reasons as to why that membership request may have been rejected. Once you're in, after a couple of weeks, you'll get a membership kit in the mail, which will contain a welcome letter, the plastic member card, which is there's an example on the page here that you can see. The front at the top and the back of the card is on the bottom. The back of the card will show you which certifications you currently possess. A certificate seal, which is the gold sticker in the bottom left-hand corner. So if you wish, you can print off a PDF copy of your membership, and you can affix that seal to it, and a modicum of swag, which depends on what we have available at the time. So now that we have a basic overview of what the membership program is and how to get into it, let's take a look at what PDUs are actually used for. So what is a professional development unit PDU claim? Those certification holders who decide to become members have the ability to maintain their status through activities that indicate a personal and professional development, such as attending educational events, participating in open source communities, or assisting others interested in open source use and growth. And we're going to go over some examples of those here in just a little bit. A PDU claim is a submitted request for recognition of an accomplishment which helps further your career or open source adoption. And there are three categories for that. There's education, community, and experience. Now note that we have min and max values here. The min value is what you need to actually complete in order for your membership to continue, in order for your certification to remain active as well. So for education, we suggest a minimum of 30, and you can't go over 50 for your submission. You don't have to have any for community, but it would be nice if you did. And we accept up to 20 units for PDU claims on that. Experience, the minimum for that is 10 units, and the max, of course, is 15. Experience is anything ranging from a home network that you set up where you use open source software, your job duties that you're involved with, if you're a system engineer or a developer, things of that nature, just describe what it is that you do and provide just a little bit of information as to how you're using open source software within those environments, and that'll count towards your experience. Same goes if you do a home lab setup, or you're helping a friend of yours set a system up as well. Education can be just about anything, really. Anything that's where you attend a seminar, or you take classes if you're in school for college, or even if you go and you get a certification from another vendor such as Cisco or Red Hat or what have you, you can provide examples of those, and that counts towards your education as well. Each PDU claim itself is valued from 1 to 25 PDUs, and value, that's actually the wrong word. It's more like a weight, how many units that you get for a particular PDU. So when are you required to submit a PDU? During your membership, once you're signed up and you're in the program, you need to submit 60 professional development units over a 3-year cycle. And that's only required to continue your membership. And again, the 60 is broken out to the community, education, and experience. And just as long as you have a total of 60, and it doesn't matter how you parse that out over the 3 different categories, that's all you need to have. For an inactive certification holder that wants to join the membership program, you first need to submit a claim for 20 PDUs of any accepted activities. Again, it could just be community, where you're submitting code to a project, or you are helping out with documentation on open source projects, or you're speaking at conferences, things like that. And the claims that you submit must be from the immediate past 12 months. So if you go today and you have an inactive certification and you want to join the membership program, you need to demonstrate 20 PDUs of various activities within the last year. So all the way back to February of 2020. And that's it. PDUs are not needed by active certification holders in order to become a member. So the only time you need to submit PDUs to get into the program is if you have an inactive certification. And there's some examples let's see, let me get this little pop-up here to go away. I think I can move it. No, I can't, darn it. There's a URL right here that will show you some examples at lpi.org/member/PDU-procedures and policies. And we're gonna go through a walkthrough here in a little bit so you can see how this is handled when you go to submit your own. So let's talk a little bit about the community category. We offer a broad range of community programs ourselves from Linux Professional Institute. This is anything involving helping with exam and learning material development. We have a site at learning.lpi.org, which is a fantastic resource for those that are looking to spruce up the skills or get a better understanding of some various topics that we test on for certifications. So if you help to develop material, in other words, write lessons, or you help edit submitted material, things of that nature, or help out with translations. We're always looking for volunteers for that. That's one community opportunity that we have. You could participate at events, which we're not doing a whole lot these days, mainly because of the lockdowns. But if you go and you help out with a booth or you give a talk on behalf of LPI, those are community events that you can claim as a PDU as well. If you write for our blog that we have on the LPI site or for our sister site at fosslife.org, which is a site that promotes the usage of open source software, the topics range anywhere from beginner introduction to various aspects of open source, or there's some technical tutorials on there as well. But if you write a blog post or a little walkthrough on something there, that can be submitted. We also offer a breadth of committees at this time. A few of these are listed here. The Member Engagement Committee. This is the committee that is for members directly. This is where members can come in. They can speak their voice. They can help drive some new agendas for the Linux Professional Institute, some new program ideas, get better understanding of some other things we have going on. This is the committee for that, and we meet on a semi-monthly basis at this point. We have a newsletter that discusses some upcoming topics and things that we would like to discuss. The Academic Advisory Committee. This is the committee that's dedicated towards basically higher level institutions such as colleges and universities, as far as helping to get information about open source out there. They also have a lot of work within their working groups where they help to just develop new certification topics and exams. They do a lot of feedback for that as well. The BSD Advisory Committee is a brand new committee that is just getting started out. We would like to see if anybody is interested in BSD to come and join that. And that's where you can also drive elements of our BSD certification that we have to help express ideas for new ways to move forward with it, or just any other topic within the BSD community as well. So where do you actually submit these PDUs? Now that you've gone out, maybe you've done some volunteer work with LPI, or you have submitted some code to a project, or you wrote a tutorial for a website, or for your own blog post for that matter, that involves how to use a netcat or something. So where do you actually go to submit PDUs for things that you have done to help your professional growth? Again, you go to the people portal, people.lpi.org. And on the right-hand side is a dashboard. So this is essentially what you'll get greeted with when you first log into it. If you notice at the bottom, it says you have no PDUs, and that means that at this point you haven't submitted anything yet, but I will show you what one looks like where there are some PDUs submitted as we walk through the process for submitting another PDU. And here's a screenshot showing a PDU summary where if you've already submitted some PDUs, again, it breaks down the categories for you. We have education, community, and experience. Now, the ones in red, again, these are the ones that are required to have some form of PDU submitted for these. And again, they show you the minimum that you need as well as what the maximum is that you can get to. So for instance, under this individual here for education, they have 12 submitted. They need another 18 to fulfill this requirement, or at least get to 50. And again, going for experience, you need to have at least a minimum of 10. They have 8, so they only need two more PDUs submitted with an experience. And regardless of how it adds up, you need to have at least a minimum of 60 for that 3-year cycle. And down below this, you will see a list.
Kenny, could I interrupt you just for a quick question?
Yes.
For your total 60 PDUs, do you need to reach the minimum of education and experience?
Yes. Let's see. So if your minimum is, say, 30 here, and then you need a minimum of 10, so that's 40. So you need to
and then you can go up or higher in community or what? Okay.
Right. Or you can just max out in these others as well. So if you max out 50 here, and you max out here at 15, well, that gives you 65 when you only need 60. So even if you just concentrate on education and experience, you don't do anything with community, then you still have the 60 minimum.
Wonderful. Thank you for clarifying that.
No problem. Down below that is a listing of the PDUs that you would have already submitted and that have been accepted. And if you have some that you have submitted that have not been accepted yet and are still under review, you will also have a separate box displaying those PDUs that are basically in a queue waiting to be reviewed. And down here on the bottom right, we have the add activity button, which is, we will use this here in a little bit, where you can actually create another PDU submission. So we have multiple PDU activities that you can submit claims for. We're going to go over these a little bit more in depth here in just a bit, but as I showed you earlier, we have education, there's community and experience, but under education, we have different subcategories, and we'll take a look at those here in just a bit. So once you pick out the category that your particular PDU belongs to, you go ahead and fill out this form here. You describe what it is. You give us a quick description, like say, for instance, here you attended a webinar. For example, what you're doing right now, where you are attending a webinar for Linux Professional Institute, this counts as a PDU claim. And if you wish, once you're done here, you can actually submit this PDU claim yourself to count towards your 20 if you need to get in on an inactive member. I'm sorry, an inactive certification, or towards your active certification, 60, a total of 60 for keeping your membership going. Submit the date on which you actually did the event itself. So say if you did something that was back in January, you need to submit the claim for the time frame of January that you engage in the activity, not the date that you're submitting the claim itself. So today is what, the 24th of February. So you don't put the 24th of February here. You put whatever date it was in January that you took part in the activity. And this right here, the topic completed, this will autofill for you depending on what your category is and the amount of time that you spent on a particular activity. That'll get balanced out for you here. All right, so let's do a quick demo on a PDU submission. So here's the front page to the People portal, people.lpi.org. Again, you will need your LPI ID and your password that you have already set up for your LPI login. I'm going to log in here. And right now you can see my current PDU status. This is the dashboard when you first come in. I've only got 5 PDUs out of a total of 60. That's pretty sad, I know, but I'm working on that. Education, I got 0 at this point. Community, I have 5 because I submitted some documentation update to an open source project. And again, that shows here as an accepted PDU, and I got 5 PDUs just for doing that. Experience, again, this is your work-related experience, things that you volunteer for, where you're deploying a system or you're helping somebody upgrade it, things of that nature. Those get listed over here under experience. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add an education PDU, because I need to have those, where I took a course online from Coursera. So let's take a look here real quick. So we have our different types of activity. We have education learning, education teaching. This is where you go and you conduct a class, or you speak at a conference, or again, if you're creating something like the learning materials, or you're writing tutorials for other people. We actually have authors that submit PDU claims, which is really awesome. We like that. Teaching performed outside of regular work activities. If you volunteer at say at a learning center and within your hometown, where you have people that are learning how to use a computer, and you use open source software to teach them the basics of computer usage, that could get listed here. Again, we have our community categories. This is within LPI. These are the things that the different types of community programs that we have, where you organize a study group, or you assist in translations for learning materials, or even exams. Participate on any of or participate on the board of directors, for instance, or an advisory group, or any of our numerous committees. Or again, we also have volunteering within LPI. Now, we don't say that the only community things that we support are within LPI. We also have all these other different types of categories as well, such as advocacy, such as public policy, maintaining membership in other professional associations, such as like IEEE or organizations of that nature. Contribute to the open source project, again, code, documentation, testing, advocacy, even just going out there saying, hey, I use this particular application, it's awesome, here are my reasons why. If you could prove that you've done some advocating for a particular project, just show us where you did that and how you did that, and you can get a PDU for that as well. I spoke earlier about achieving a new partner certification. Again, that's if you get a certification through, like, say, Cisco or Juniper Networks, or just essentially any IT body. We recognize pretty much nearly all of them as far as those are concerned. activities to advance open source and openness within your organization. If you are a open source evangelist within where you work, so you're pretty much predominantly a Microsoft shop, and you're like, hey, we could really use Samba for our file servers instead of using these Windows servers, which have a higher attack vector. Well, if you show that you have done advocacy within your department, doesn't necessarily mean that you've implemented it, but at least you're giving it a good honest try. If you have documentation to back that up, we can take a PDU for that. Employment, again, this is working within your regular job duties related to your certification. Entrepreneurial activities to perform, promote your certification related skills. If you run your own company, if you're a trainer, if you're a consultant, this can be submitted here as well. Any of the volunteer work that you do, volunteering in a nonprofit organization to help implement open source solutions, we love that. We love it when people go out there and help to spread the usage of open source by especially working with nonprofits and organizations that really don't have a whole lot of money, because you're showing a great sense of value. You're showing that there's something very powerful that they can use, and the only thing it costs them is time in learning it and getting it employed. Proctoring exam lab sessions, those are also helpful. So let's go up here towards the top for the one I'm going to submit. Education learning, I took a course, and so I'm going to do attending course and describe my activity. So I'm going to give it a quick title real quick. I am a huge space nerd, so I'm always trying to learn new things about anything involving technology or space or astronomy or anything of that nature. I'm putting a description in here to describe what it is that the course was about, and add URL to supporting materials. It says it's optional. If you take a course, we highly recommend that you at least go ahead and at least provide a URL. It helps us to track down the validity of claims. We don't, when we do our reviews, we don't nitpick every single submission. We spot check them at this point. So it's good practice just to go ahead and get to the habit of submitting the extra information for any PDU claim that you make. Choose files to upload. Let's see here. I received a certificate for completing this course. Let me see if I can find it. I got too many folders. Here we go. All right. So I'm uploading the PDF for the course that I took. And here's the date. Now, this is today's date, but I completed the class yesterday. So I'm going to change this to yesterday. I completed it just in time for this whole event. It took me 4 weeks to finish out the course. It's a 6-week course, but I loved it so much I just kept breezing through it. So let's say 4 times 7. Let's see, we got, oops. All right, 28 days. The course itself took 28 days. Now, I'm going to submit this PDU claim. Oh, sorry. Oh, days of 10. I got confused there. That's actually the PDU units you can get. Sorry, not the days that you actually took the course on. So I'm going to submit. And now we have my accepted PDUs down here in the bottom, but in the middle area, these are the PDUs that are under review. And then, so now I just basically play the waiting game at this point. I have requested for a total of 20 PDUs for a course that I took. And I got the categories underneath here. If you need to make changes to anything, you could click on the 3-dot menu over here to the side, click on edit, and then go back through and make any modifications. Say if you need to provide more proof, or you need to update your description, things of that nature, or if you need to change your dates and so forth, then you could go there to edit that. And then you just kind of just, that's it for this point. And then you just wait for us to go back through, we review everything, and we'll either accept or reject based on the amount of evidence or, things that nature provided. And then you'll get an email notification if either which way. But most of the time we are accepting a large swath of the PDU submissions at this point. The ones that get rejected are primarily those that have extremely little evidence to support the claim, or if it actually doesn't even match at all with what the criteria are for the categories and so forth. But yeah, and then once you get the PDU reviewed and it's accepted, then it'll show up underneath here, and that number there will get applied to my education category over here. So
A quick question for
yes,
you.
ma'am.
The PDUs under review are you able to go in and completely delete a PDU if you have made a bunch of mistakes or something, or you were confused? Can you go in and just delete that PDU from your account?
We can. LPI we're the only ones that have the capability to delete a PDU out from the system. You don't have the ability on the user-facing side to do that. So if for some reason you have a PDU submission and the information is completely wrong, or and editing it is just not going to help you, just send us an email to membership@lpi.org, along with just a quick, brief description of what your issue is with that PDU. And we can either change it to help change it for you, or just delete it outright, and then you can go ahead and resubmit the PDU claim itself.
Great.
So that's it in a nutshell. As far as that was that was a half hour. That's pretty much it in a nutshell for PDU submissions. And again, going on about the member engagement committee, I was talking about that earlier. So these are announced on a semi-monthly basis. We have a site at discuss.lpi.org, which you can go to. And if you're interested in any of our committees or any of our projects that we have going on, discuss.lpi.org as a location where you can speak with us directly. You can speak with cohorts, colleagues, friends, other people that are in the community with you to just espouse ideas, or even get help with studying for some of these exams that we offer. So that's a good place to go to. This particular link here goes towards the member engagement committee for members that are already in the program. And anybody can go there and read any of the posts on there. So there's nothing super secret about that, but you won't be able to post unless you are a member yourself. But again, discuss.lpi.org is a great site for various levels of information that we put out there, and for anybody to communicate directly with us. Again, just a quick recap. If you have an inactive certification, you will need to, of course, accept the code of conduct, agree to the membership terms, and come up with a list of 20 verifiable PDUs that you can submit to get your foot into the door to the membership program. If you
Kenny, I have a question about that.
Yes,
sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Do the 20 PDUs for our inactive certs also count for the first 3-year cycle? And Matt could maybe help out here as well.
Matt, can you answer that one directly? I don't recall.
Yeah, sure. You can hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, the answer is no. Those 20 PDUs are consumed as part of the process of reactivating.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you use up those 20 just to get into the membership program, and then during that next cycle, you still have to come up with 60 within that 3-year time period to continue the membership. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Despite what the interface says right now, that's a bug.
Okay. All right. And let me scroll back here. Let's see. Let's just do this. So yeah, those of you that are looking to get into the program, it's you can find the information that you need at lpi.org/member. We have an overview here. We describe some of the benefits that we have within the organization for membership. We are adding new ones as we go along. So once you get through the people portal, you can see the different types of discounts and offers that we have to go along with having a membership. A little more details about your terms of membership, and you can check here to see if you are eligible. It describes the breakdown that we had earlier about you need the 20 minimum PDU claims if you have an inactive certification, as opposed to what you can do if you are in possession of an active certification. Again, it has to be LPIC 1 and above, or BST specialist, or DevOps tools engineer. You don't have to have everything. You just need to have at least one of those to be considered a professional level certification holder to get into the membership program. The Linux Essentials certificate is not a professional level, so that one won't get you in. Again, you'll have to go up one more step.
Kenny, a little bit more on understanding the PDUs a bit. So some might find it a little bit difficult to find open source projects to be involved in, but are interested in kind of that alleyway to get PDUs. Mm-hmm. Does LPI have open source projects that it encourages members to participate in as well?
Well, yeah, one that I could recommend that we have something of a tie with is, for instance, the Debian Project. They're always seeking people to help them package up software or to do reviews on software packaging, things like that. So if that's one way that you can get in with contributing to an open source project.
I also understand that, sorry to interrupt, at lpi.org/community, at the end of the page, we do list additional opportunities where people can get involved. So these are organizations and projects, and Debian is one of them, on how to be a mentor or how to get a little bit more involved in volunteering through these projects. So I will definitely add this link into the email as well.
Yes. Yeah. And here we go. Debian with the package maintainer, general volunteer, the FreeBSD Foundation. They have plenty of opportunities. There, a lot of people are really looking for those that can help out with documentation. So if you don't know how to write code, but you're good with documentation, just about any open source project will be more than happy to take you on to help them write installation materials, how to do how to use the software, just things of that nature. Just about any open source project is always hurting for somebody to help them write some documentation.
As well as if anyone is working on a project and they would like LPI to be a little bit more involved or at least listed, please reach out as well. That's a good opportunity for both sides.
Yep, totally agree on that one. Even if it's a project that you start yourself, that's fine. It doesn't have to be something that somebody else created that you join. If it's something that you're kicking off yourself and you've got code, say, up on GitHub or private Git server, things like that, then that's an excellent avenue to get started with as well. Let's see. Go ahead.
I was just going to say those are all the questions that we've gathered. But please continue if there's anything to wrap up here.
I was just going to say with the exam development team. So we have in order to get involved with exam development, helping out in that regard, there's volunteer@lpi.org that you can send an email to, introducing yourself, describing a little bit of your background and what we'd like to do to get involved with the assistance of exam development. And they'll respond back with further information to help you get going into the program, the mailing list, onboarding information as far as their standards and procedures, things like that, to help get you going as well. So if you're more inclined to help out with how the exams are created and the content that can go into an exam. And again, if you're a trainer, if this is something that you do on a regular basis where you go and you conduct classes, again, that you could submit that as for PDUs as well. Along with that, we have two different types of trainer programs. We have the registered trainer program, which is for partner companies. That's where, say, if you work for a company that sends you out on locations or whatever, or you conduct virtual classes for open source software, that company could reach out to us, and they could, there's a process where they could become a registered trainer with LPI. Or if you do this on your own and you are an individual trainer, you have experience with conducting various types of IT courses, we have a program for what we call the approved trainer. Let me take a look at that here real quick. I think it's live here. Yeah, here we go. So there's some requirements that are involved to get in with this program, where you have to meet the same level of requirements as a registered trainer, plus some extra criteria. We have to submit a video, an example video of you conducting a course, and you need to show us that you have some type of professional level certification, such as like Cisco or CompTIA CTT Plus, things like that, to show that you've got a certification in conducting IT training as well. To submit that type of information to us, we could go through and review it for you, and you can get listed as an approved trainer, which is great to help out with those that are seeking trainers within the people portal. We're going to have something set up down the road where they can go and they can look up trainers for a particular region or, say, a particular level of certification. That information will be available for them to, say, find the services that you would offer. And again, that's also something you can submit as a PDU, because it's you conducting coursework and it's your job. So that's another way of keeping your membership going as well. Does
I wouldn't
anybody
mind
have-
also
okay.
adding just a quick, we are also doing beta testing for LPIC 3 new exams. So if there is anyone interested in potentially participating in that, the link is right here that you can sign up in the chat box there.
Okay, great, excellent.
And yeah, those are the questions I have.
Okay, and
All
again, like I
listed.
said, it doesn't have to be anything specifically that LPI offers for community. It's just it's just a springboard essentially. We are working with quite a few different types of opportunities, so your participation in any of those will help out. But anything within the open source world, that as long as you can provide information to back up your involvement with it, that's fantastic. We can take that for a PDU.
If anyone has questions whether a certain activity would count, is there a quick way in to get an answer about that? Is there an email address, contact information?
Yeah, if you have any types of questions at all, you can feel free to email us at membership@lpi.org. And let me take a look here. I think under let's see. Go to this page. Yeah, okay. PDU procedures and policies. This gives you a quick overview of what you need to do for PDUs themselves. But if you have any specifics as far as if a particular activity that you took part in would count towards a PDU, by all means, just you can email us and we'll get an answer back to you as quickly as we can.
Wonderful. Thanks, Kenny. Any last questions or comments? I don't think so. This was a great overview. Okay, well, thanks a lot, Kenny. Again, a lot of fantastic information here, and thanks for walking us through the PDU submission process. And Matt, thanks for being here to answer a few of our questions as well. We hope we have answered everyone's questions. If not, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or any contact that you have at LPI, and we're happy to kind of direct your questions in the most appropriate way. I will be sending around the presentation slides, the recording, and a few of the links that we spoke about here for easy access. So thanks so much for participating, and we hope to see you at the next one. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.